Hi guys, good evening everyone. Welcome to Sports Talk once again. So today is the fourth consecutive day we are doing the Sports Talk. So today we have a very interesting show coming up. Two commentators who are part of the Sri Lanka Cricket Invitational T20 tournament will be joining us very shortly to talk about the Sri Lanka Cricket Invitational tournament which was just concluded, and also the South African series which will be very soon. So I welcome Samir Yunus, the Sri Lankan Harsha Bogle, they say.
Hi guys.
Our very own Samir.
Hi Akhil, how's it going?
All good, Samir. How are you?
Very good, thank you. You forgot to mention our sponsors. It's Dialogue SLCI Invitational T20 League. They took very good care of us, so we have to mention them.
Yeah, and kudos to Dialogue Sri Lanka Cricket and also the Papare.com for bringing us a tournament which with very good standard.
Superb. International standard production. It was brilliant. I mean, to be part of such a team. I mean, I'll tell you, most of those guys who are in that crew, Akhil, majority of them are under 25 years old. So, I mean, for them to pull it off like that is brilliant. Those guys run. I mean, it's just passion for sports, nothing else. You can see it in them. They just love the game. They just, have this yearning to make sure that, they go to the next level. So, really, hats off to them.
තව කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවා අපිට අද වෙල්කම් කරන්න ලංකාවේ ඉන්න ප්‍රවීණ විස්තර විචාරකයෙක් කෝසල සුරේෂ් චන්ද්‍ර එකතු වෙනවා අපිත් එක්ක. වෙල්කම් කෝසල.
Hi Akhil, how are you? And hi Samir.
Hi Kosi, nice to see you again.
Yes, definitely. We've been there with in a bubble for about almost 2 weeks together, and we're here again.
Quite a bubble.
Yeah,
quite a bubble that was.
So both of you are part of the team for the T20 tournament which was just concluded. So how was it as a commentator's point of view? Just start with Samir.
Well, honestly, first of all, for the fact that I got the opportunity to be able to commentate for a tournament like that, I think I was very, very happy because I've been looking to, get a stage like that. Obviously, we've done so many school matches in the last 3-4 years, but, this thing had millions of viewers. And it's good to see that, it's one thing to commentate and, just bluffer and speak whatever you want to. And what really made me happy was all the positive feedback and the compliments that we received. It was just amazing. And it really gives us confidence that, we have what it takes to be able to go to the next level. And even with the whole production thing, leave aside the cricket, okay, the fact that Papare was able to put together such a brilliant production. And, people were like, really, a lot of people were surprised that, it was this good. I mean, obviously, there are still shortcomings. People were asking for like the bowling speed and the DRS. That's still a long way to go. But even then, I think it was brilliant. And it was a super experience. See, the advantage of being a commentator is the fact that you not only get to watch the match live in the grounds, but you also get to watch the, the replays and the stats and the commentaries. Now, in my early 20s, whenever someone offered me to go to the ground to watch a match, I would always be like, in two minds. Okay, if I go to the grounds, awesome experience, atmosphere, can watch the match, can see the players. But then you'll miss out on the commentaries, you'll miss out on the replays. So when you go in as a commentator, you get the best of both, which for me is brilliant. And then you get to voice your opinion, your analysis. For me, honestly, it was a fantastic experience. And I hope that a tournament like this happens every year so that not just the players, even guys like us get an opportunity to showcase, our skills and also enjoy it at the same time.
And the drone shots of the ground was very, very beautiful, and I should say, during the match. And Kosala, how was it for you as a commentator?
Well, it was really amazing because you see, I traveled to Kandy as an English commentator. And then when I went to Kandy, I was asked whether I could commentate in Sinhala as well. So just imagine, it's a bit of a hard challenge because I think Sam knows it, because to like commentate in two languages, it's not easy. I would say it's just to keep your mindset, especially your vocabulary, how you bring out your vocabulary. That's the key. So I think that was a big part. But I think I found the first 2 days a little bit hard to settle in because I was with basically a Singlish dictionary as my main commentator, because he was like, so it was very hard for me to combine with him at the start. But then as the tournament progressed, I knew how I should get about it, and I think it worked well. And as Sam said, it is a great opportunity to be there. I've been commentating for almost 15 years in my life now, and this is one big stage that you get to showcase your talent. And then when you're asked to do both languages and you can come out well with it, I think that's a great achievement.
No, I'll tell you, even though Kosala was doing Sinhalese commentary, his strength is English commentary. I can tell you that. I mean, Kosala and I have commentated 10 years ago together also. We've been to Hambantota, done international matches for radio commentary. And Kosala's strength is English. But the fact that he doubled up and did Sinhala, that's a really good skill. It's not easy because in Sinhala commentary, you can't just translate from English to Sinhala. That has its own set of skills that you have to use. I mean, you would have heard the other guy, Dinesh Opendra. Some of those words he was using, I mean, I couldn't understand a word sometimes. So hats off to Kosala for really being able to pair up with him and, still deliver, which is amazing.
And Sam, now let's talk about the tournament, the performances. Which team impressed you the most out of the 4 teams?
Well, obviously, Grays being the champions, they were unbeaten. It was brilliant. See, the thing is, let's talk about the tournament itself. I was really happy they did this because, you see, you have the Lanka Premier League, which is obviously supposedly the main local T20 league, right? But the thing with the LPL is it's all about big names, senior names, foreign players, foreign coaches, this and that. But with this, you get to see all the good and the best of the lot in the Premier level. So you take club cricket also. We always complain that there's too many clubs. The standard of play, the quality of the cricket isn't great because it's saturated. There's too many players. But when you have the best of those 26 clubs put into 4 teams, then the best are playing against the best. So you then figure out, okay, who's really good and who's just there for their names. Some of the seniors were really found out in this tournament, right? People who we thought will put up a really good show were struggling, and we found some brilliant youngsters who were playing like they had been playing all their lives. So for me, I think a tournament like this is very useful because these youngsters get a chance. And hats off to Sri Lanka Cricket because they made sure that they played the tournament even under lights. So that is a massive experience for some of these youngsters. I mean, most of these guys have never played under lights. You take someone like Pulna Taranga, that catch he took. I don't think he's played under lights before this tournament. So that goes on to show that, give these guys the right platform, give them the right setting, and they'll show you what they're made of. So something like this, I think every year it's very, very important that Sri Lanka Cricket does it. Yes, LPL can go on, but at the same time, have this tournament because this tournament is useful for the LPL also. So some of those foreign owners, the teams can now scout for players. If they're going to scout from the club competition, it's going to be very difficult because, again, there's way too many. But if they're going to scout from this tournament, they can select just the best of the best. So that's really good. As for the team, obviously, for me, from the beginning, when I saw the teams, when I looked at Grays, they looked the best to me. There was a good experience. There was a good blend of experience and youth. Some of those death overs batting was just brilliant. Lahiru Madhushankar, Dasun Shanaka. And then even with the ball, Ashane Daniel was a revelation, was brilliant with the ball. Pulna Taranga once again, even with the ball. The thing is, what I really liked about some of these youngsters is it's not their extraordinary skill. Now, for example, you take someone like Vandu Hasarange, he has extraordinary skill, right? But some of these youngsters, maybe they don't have very special skill, but it's their attitude and the way they perform under pressure, how they respond to challenges. That's what was nice to see. And that's why I think the Greys came out on top because they had a very good blend of experience and youth. You had Minod Bhanuka at the top, then you have Dasun Shanaka at the bottom. There was Nuwan Pradeep, the fast bowler, who again proved us that he's one of the best death over bowlers that we have. And then in between, you have the youngsters, the Pulna Tarangas, Ashen Daniel, and the Nuwan Fernando, Kamil Mishara. All of them had a fantastic tournament. Everyone. Charit Asalanka got among the runs. So everyone in some way or the other contributed to the Greys' success. In some match, it was Charit Asalanka who took them out of trouble. In a few matches, it was Dasun Shanaka who took them out of trouble. Pulna Taranga had a very good innings once with Dasun Shanaka. Lahiru Madhushankar, we saw how brutal he was against someone like Surang Lakmal. So everyone was equal in the way they contributed towards the success of the team. So that's why from the beginning, it was the Greys. It was always going to be there.
And Kosala, the main motive of the tournament was to find talents, find players which ahead of the South African series and the T20 World Cup. You think we found some players which can walk into the Sri Lankan team?
Yes, but the fact is that you need to look at them in a longer run because just because they've just come out good in one tournament, it doesn't mean that, okay, he is good enough to represent Sri Lanka because, as Sam said, it's a collective of the 26 teams that combine 4 teams together in this tournament. And now these youngsters know where I stand with the best of the best in the local arena. So what do I need to do to make my A game come into play? And am I good enough to be beyond that point. So those things will have to come. So players like Pulina Taranga, Ashin Daniel, Mahesh Deekshana, we had a lot of bowlers that really came out of this tournament. But again, it was the spinners. My only disappointment factor for the entire tournament was we didn't see a newborn fast bowler really coming out of the ranks. I think that's where we need to really focus. We saw Ramanayaka impress a bit, but then he's out because of injury. And so apart from that, the batters, there were a few good batters, as Sam mentioned, who really showed that they've got class. Ashen Bandara and Sahan Arachige showed that how they can adapt to a situation. But all in all, if you really look at it, throwing them into the deep end straight away, well, we'll have to take a big call on that. Whether they're ready to do the swim at the deep end is the question, because they need, I think, more exposure like this to really show that they are consistent in what they do.
But the good news is there is an A-team tour coming up, which is what I think from here you take these boys into like A-team tournaments, emerging tournaments, and then let them play against foreign oppositions as well. So I heard Pakistan A-team is coming to Sri Lanka in October. There's going to be 2 tests, 3 ODIs, 3 T20s. So I think some of these players will easily walk into some of that A-team squad. And there maybe they can, like Cozy says, they need to prove themselves at a higher standard and upskill. For me, that's the main word. You can be good, but you can't be stagnant. You can't be, okay, this is my strength, I'm going to be like this. No, you have to keep upskilling yourself. So again, someone like a Wanindu, the IPL is going to be a massive test for him. Can he adapt when the batsmen start reading him? Can he change his game? Can he just keep getting better? For someone like Rashid Khan, he's been playing the IPL for so long, still keeps getting up, getting wickets. How does he do that? Because he keeps adapting his game. So these youngsters too, like Cozy said, when you throw them in the deep end, we have to see whether they are able to swim and survive for a long time, not just this one-off tournament. But at least now we know who this crop of youngsters are, and now the board can slowly work with them and help them develop their game.
And also yesterday, the under-19 squad was also named. I think a squad of 20 named for the under-19 tournaments which are coming ahead. So that was pretty good signs to see some under-19 matches these schoolboys will be playing. So there's some encouraging signs to see. And Sam, if you want to select about 2-3 players from each team,
okay,
which you want to take to the next level,
I'll have to remember each team now. Okay, let's start with the 2 losers. We'll start with Greens, which was, I think, who had the most, not that they were horrid, but they were quite unlucky, I would say. Okay. I would pick, obviously, Kamindu Mendis had the best run. He was among the highest run getters, even though he performed only 3 games and then he got injured. Another, Pathum Nissanka was good for the Greens. I think the Greens bowling really let them down. There was no one among the highest wicket takers, so I wouldn't pick a bowler from there. If you take the Blues, obviously Mahesh Deekshana right up there, the pick of this thing. For the Blues batsman, Dhananjay Lakshan opened the batting, but that was a discussion Cozy and us in the com box we kept having. Does he want to? Is he applying for that opening position in Sri Lanka cricket? Is that why he's opening, or maybe he just wants to score runs wherever it is? So I don't know. I mean, looking at his game, yes, he's good as an opener, but there are some weaknesses you can easily figure out. Like, even for example, when he's pulling the ball, he gets under it, dissing it, over it. And, he's running between the wickets is very questionable. Four times he got run out in the whole tournament. So there are weaknesses you can talk about. Dhananjay Lakshan, the bowler, was a failure. Other than that, in the Blues, okay, Mahesh Deekshana, obviously Ashen Bandara and Sahan Arachige were massive pluses. They performed really well. That one match, they pretty much pulled victory from the jaws of defeat against the Greens. That was one. Then you take the Reds, the runners-up. Chandimal up the order was a revelation. I think maybe
Sam,
he
since
might
you're
be
talking about Blues, I think we saw a glimpse of Lahiru Samarakoon in Blues, I think it was.
Yes, exactly. Unfortunately, he played only 2 games, so too soon to tell, very soon to tell. But from the little bit we saw, definitely someone with a lot of potential and can be worked with. But I wish he played more for us to see a bit more of him. Let's go to the Reds. So we have Chandimal at the top, obviously performed well. Good to see him get among the runs. We had Nipun Dhananjay looked good in shades. There were some really nice shots he played. Couldn't really play a big innings, but some of the shots he played showed that he's got something. Obviously, their bowling was the top. Their bowling was their best in the whole tournament. You had Himesh Ramanayaka bowling very well. You had Sikuge Prasanna didn't pick up, eventually picked up a lot of wickets and had the best economy rate. So I don't know if you're going to go with Sikuge because maybe he's not among the youngsters that they're looking at. But if you're asking me just performance-wise, yes, Sikuge had a good tournament. Himesh Ramanak, obviously, I mentioned the pick of the fast bowlers from the whole tournament. Really impressed for a youngster. Then you have Chamika bowled well, but again, his death bowling, like Kosi said, was very disappointing because we saw he went for quite a few towards the end. So that is a game he'll have to work because come the international batsman, they're going to murder him if he keeps bowling those lengths. So he needs to improve that aspect of his game. He couldn't bat much, so we don't know really. In fact, the Reds were the most experienced side, if at all. They had the Asela and they had Sikuge, they had Chandimal, they had Oshoda Fernando, they have Avishka Fernando, and then at the bottom they had Chamika Karunaratne. So very, very experienced side. Obviously, in the Greys, my favorite from day one, I became a fan of Punita Ranga. From the way he batted, he bowled, his energy and the field is just very, very impressive. Ashen Daniel was impressive. You had Kamil Mishra and Odita Fernando, both of them getting among the runs. And Nuwan Pradeep, the old workhorse. You tell him where to bowl and he'll bowl there for you with a smile. So, yeah, those are my picks. Obviously, Dashun Shanakar doesn't need a mention because that guy is just in the form of his life. Whatever he's touching is turning into gold. And he's hitting bowlers like to all parts of the park. I only wish he's able to convert that form into international because for some reason, moment he comes against international bowlers, he struggles. You could argue that when he plays for Sri Lanka, whenever he comes to bat, that position isn't a very good position. Always either it's a collapse or he comes in too late. So he doesn't come at a time where he can just be free. But if he does come in that position, I'd like to see if he can, take this form of domestic into international. Which if he can do that, the way he's batting, then I think, a lot of our problems will be solved in that death over batting. Lahiru Madhushankar, another name. Absolute brutal hitting. So Greys have a lot of good picks to take.
And Kosala, what I wanted to ask from you was now, what are the disappointments like which we saw in the tournament?
Well, as
any players
Sam
that you
mentioned-
wanted to see performing well and
Yes, I was a little bit disappointed the way Lahiru Kumar bowled throughout the tournament. Suranga Lakmal had a bad outing in one game. Lakshan Sandakan was good in patches. He was not very consistent. And again, Chamika Karunaratne, for me, the death bowling, especially in that final, the way he bowled was definitely under par because he's a player who can definitely do much better than that. I think the length that he picked on that day, according to that pitch, was not suitable and he went for a lot of runs. If you look at Chamika Karunaratne's T20 career, his economy rate is on the high side. So that's why he will have to improve on because he is identified as a finisher in the game with both bat and ball. So he needs to definitely up the game with the ball. He's good with the bat, but obviously we didn't see him batting much. But one name that Sam missed out was, I thought, Praveen Jayavikrama. Though he was not among the wickets, I thought he looked very good. He adjusted accordingly to the conditions and he looked a potential where Sri Lanka can take him into the T20 game. Dhananjay De Silva, we didn't see much of him, and that's going to be a concern whether Dhananjay De Silva fits into the T20 format. That will be a question. If we find in good enough middle order batsmen to support them, then is Dhananjay De Silva worth a place in the T20 side? So these are things, but I was looking forward for Asela Gunaratne because I'm a fan of Asela Gunaratne because I haven't, to me, where Sri Lanka is concerned, after Angelo Matthews, I didn't see a better finisher than Asela Gunaratne in the few games he played. So I'm very disappointed that he's not been able to put his hand up. So apart from that, I think it was a good in-all tournament. Everybody tried their best, and I think this is what we were finally left with.
And also, Kosala, I want to ask was Dinesh Chandimal was getting into runs. He's scoring as an opener, and we have Kusal Janit Pera injured. Is not part of the team right now due to COVID. So, do you think that Chandimal is in contention for the national team?
Well, it all depends on where they want to fit Chandimal. Obviously, if Chandimal is to play in a T20 game or a 50-over game, he needs to open the batting. So is he going to partner Avishka Fernando? Because Minod Bhanuka was the recently concluded series wicketkeeper that Sri Lanka had, and he came good in the final with a half century. So does the selectors want to continue with Minod Bhanuka? For me, Chandimal would be more suited for a 50-over longer run rather than in a T20 game because as Sam, I think before the discussion, he was saying that just Chandimal have that ability to go over the top. And is he the perfect batsman to get you that extra runs when you have only two fielders outside the circle, especially in the power play? So these are things that you really need to think about. But in a 50-over game, You have 10 overs of power play. Chandimal can settle in, and even if you don't get big runs, you leave it to the big hitters at the end to go deep and get your runs. So Chandimal to me is a person who needs to anchor one and up. But in a T20 format, do you need that? That's the question.
And also guys like Mahesh Sikshana, we saw what he can do in the shorter format. So do you think that he's still ready for international level? Because he has played few franchise tournaments as well as I know the T10 tournament which was in Dubai.
Yeah, the only concern that the selectors will look into Mahesh Tikshana is the experience that he carries playing T10 and the World Cup being in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. So that's a plus point that Mahesh Tikshana will carry forward. But how many spinners does Sri Lanka want to include in that 15? That's where we need to see whether Mahesh Tikshana...
That is the concern, because you obviously have one Indo who will play, right?
Yeah.
They want to go with Praveen Jayavikrama for that left arm angle, and he bowled well against India. We saw him picking up those wickets. So the third spinner, if at all, I have a feeling they'll go with the experience of Akila Dhananjaya. I think Mahesh Tikshana might find it hard to walk into this squad.
And quite a bit of mystery will be helpful as well, since we are playing the initial stages of qualification matches. So we'll fingers crossed, we'll see how it goes. And regarding the fielding standards of the T20 tournament we just concluded, how do you take it, Sam?
Our co-commentator Gamini Perera wasn't happy at all. He's a royal coach, so for him, standards are very high being a coach. But see, anyway, I think our domestic cricket fielding standards aren't good. We all know that, right? It's when I say aren't good, I'm not saying good by my judgment, but good by international standards. They're obviously not good enough. Having said that, again, this tournament proved, at least now we know where we stand and where we need to work. For me, the Blues and the Reds had the best fielding team. The Blues obviously had a lot of youngsters like Ashen Bandara, Sahanara Chige, who were brilliant in the field. Reds were also good because they've got Siku and all that, who are very good catchers of the ball. Having said that, I think, yes, it was below par. But we saw as the tournament went, it sort of kept getting better and better. Yes, there were a couple of drop catches here and there. But as the tournament progressed, the fielding standards gotten better. Because again, let me remind you, most of these fielders most of the youngsters have never played under lights. So you have to give them that excuse. But obviously, yes, now we know where the problems are, where the issues are. And we've seen, especially in the batting, what we've seen is this new fitness standard is really beneficial. I mean, the way some of those singles were converted to twos, you wouldn't have seen that a few years ago in Sri Lankan cricket. But now you're seeing it because the fitness standards have improved. And that could apply in the field as well. The fielder can be fast enough to cut off that boundary, keep the 2-1. That helps. So I think either way, despite everyone saying certain things about the fitness test, I think that has proven really useful for some of our guys. You get Avishka Fernando. That guy is jumping around in the field. He's become an absolute bullet. He takes some good catches, stops certain boundaries at point. And even his batting has improved. He's running faster. He's bludgeoning that ball. He looks lean. He looks fit. He looks strong. He's the guy who failed the fitness test a few months ago. So in a way, it sort of motivates these guys, to come back strong. It's worked perfectly, I think. So yeah, fielding standards, definitely not up to international standard. But I think as time goes on, it'll definitely improve. I mean, Gray's coach was Upul Chandana. So not surprising that catch that Upul Purinataranga took, right, in the final. You have someone like Upul Chandana coaching you, fielding has to be top class.
And we have a fan question regarding Binura Fernando. Will he play the ODIs still?
What do you think, Cozy?
Yeah, I think Binura Fernando was given a rest, if I'm not mistaken. He was having some sort of a niggling injury, but it's not a serious one. He's in the 30 that is sidelined for the game. So to me, Binura Fernando looks the number one choice fast bowler to partner this month of Chamira, because Asita Fernando to me didn't look very much up to the task in that tournament. So if you look at Sri Lanka going in, all depends on how Sri Lanka wants to go by. Whether are they going to go with 3 spinners, 3 fast bowlers, or 2 fast bowlers? If it's the case of 2 fast bowlers, they also have the option of Dasun Shanaka bowling Chamika Karunaratne and Dushmanta Chamira. So will they want to add another fast bowler into the lineup playing in Sri Lanka? Well, that's what you need to really look at. Or whether they will want to bring in Akila Dhananjaya, Vanidu Hasaranga, and then go with another batting all-rounding off spinner if they find in someone like Dhananjaya De Silva fits into the side. So or even Kamidu Mendy. So that's, to me, playing in Sri Lanka, going with the six bowlers, like say 3 spin, 3 pace would be the ideal option. Playing in Kettarama, it'll intend to take turns, especially in the limited overs game. It'll be slow, and playing against South Africa, we all know that they don't play spin that well. So I think 3 spinners will definitely be on the card for Sri Lanka. So whether they want to play a additional fast bowler, if that is the case, I think Bindu Fernando will get the nod ahead of everybody.
Yeah, and that's it regarding the Sri Lanka, the Sri Lanka Invasion T20 tournament, which was just concluded. There's a fan question: do you know where is Angelo Matthews?
Angelo Matthews has told the Sri Lankan Cricket Board not to consider him until further notice. I think he's having some issues with. Obviously, we know that his daughter is not very well, so. Or maybe, I don't know, could be a contract issue, God knows. But he has, apparently the word is that he has told the board not to consider him until he gets back to them. So that's really up to him. That's where he is there, but we don't know why he doesn't want to come and play. So
let's hope Angie will be back in Sri Lankan colours soon. The genuine match winner we have.
Definitely.
Without a doubt.
So let's talk about the South African series ahead. The first game is on 3rd. First one day at
second, no?
2nd of September.
Second, okay.
On Wednesday. Waiting for that day. This lockdown is so boring. The only cricket we're looking forward to is that.
So on Wednesday or Thursday? Second is.
Let's find out. I was not sure. So second is a Thursday. Yes.
Yeah.
It's on the 2nd. I'm not sure whether it's a Wednesday or a Thursday, but it's definitely on the 2nd.
Second Thursday.
And we are having a day-night game. I think.
And South African ODI squad, captained by Temba Bauma. So, what's your take on the ODI series? The squad is not named yet. So, who do you think that Sri Lanka go with? And the team combination?
Samir, do you want to go first?
Yes, I mean, ODIs, I think we pretty much touched on who we'd like to go for. Like Kosi says, we would prefer Chandimal at the top if KJP is not available. Vinod Bhanuka has shown that he hasn't shown us the ability of being able to play long innings. So obviously, I would go for Chandimal. So the thing with Chandimal is his fan base has two extremes. There are those who really love him, and there are those who really can't stand him. So I'm trying to be the middle path here, right? I'm only getting him in for the sole reason that he's in good form, he's in good touch. And if there's no other issues with him, I'll have him open the batting alongside Avishka Fernando. We saw for the Reds how well they batted at the top. Okay.
But there are guys like Lahir Udar and Sadika Samanikram also.
But they are not in the squad.
They're not in the squad. That's the thing.
Okay.
And were they as consistent as Chandimal? That's the question. Maybe Sadira, yes. But again, for the experience, because again, Vinod, the only thing he doesn't have against Chandimal is experience. Chandimal having that experience will definitely get in for me. So him and Avishka to open. Number 3, it will be Charita Salanka for me. Maybe Pathum Nisanka might get an eye in. I have a feeling because he did show that he's good. Who else was there in the India ODI squad? I can't remember. Also.
I think, Sam, you missed out on Bhanuka Rajapaksa. I think he'll make a comeback.
Yes, sorry. So Bhanuka and then Charita Salanka. Sorry, Bhanuka at number 3, Charita Salanka at number 4. And then you have, that's where the question of whether you're having Dhananjaya De Silva. If you're having Dhananjaya De Silva, obviously the ODI, you have to have him. He comes at number 5. And then Dasun Shanaka at 6, Hasaranga at 7. And then you have the bowlers. So the bowlers, I will, like Kosi said, I'll have one genuine fast bowler in Chamira. And then I'll get Chamika Karunaratne to him and Dasun Shanaka to bowl maybe 5 overs to share the pace. And then you have 3 proper spinners. You have Adido Hasaranga. I'll have Praveen Jayavikrama. And going by experience again, I'll go with Akila Dhananjaya. So those are my 3 spinners, 2 all-round fast bowlers who can bat, and 1 paceman in Chamira.
Of course, you will go with your team.
Well, yeah, I will go with basically almost the same team. But if Dhananjaya De Silva plays in that side, I would rather want to have an extra batter in the side because you have 6 bowling options with Dhananjaya De Silva. You have 2 spinners. Dhananjaya De Silva is your 3rd spinner. You have Chamika Karunaratne, Dasun Shanaka, and Dushmantha Chamira as your 3 seamers. So you've got 6 bowlers there. And even Charit Asalanka might be able to turn. So a batter like maybe a player like,
you can have him in
another bowling person like Kamidu Mendis to come into that side, because if you look at it, where Sri Lanka has really struggled in the recent past has been their middle order. So I think that you need to look at strengthening their middle order, where when you have the batters to come in and support. Because in England, we were almost 40 for 4 at on most one-day games. Even against India's in the one-day internationals, we struggled in the middle order. So I think I would opt to go with an extra batter and have a part-time bowler to fill in a few overs here and there.
Also
Yes.
considering the bowling lineup of South Africa, they have Rabada, they have Henry Nokia, and they have a few. They have Shamsi as well in the bowling lineup. So it's a pretty strong bowling lineup for South Africans. And for
Yeah,
T20s, yeah,
yeah. I think this is a team that both Sam and I was talking about. This is the one-day format that we were talking. T20 can definitely change a lot, but as you said, I'm definitely looking forward to how Rabada bowls on Sri Lankan tracks.
Because we've seen him go to the cleaners at the IPL sometimes, right? So on good batting tracks, he sometimes struggles. So let's see how he bowls, and if our batsmen are really good enough, they will see how he plays. This should be a good litmus test for our batsmen actually, because this is where we'll see after the T20 Invitational Tournament whether they are up to the mark to play against some of these quality bowlers of international cricket. So should be an interesting contest. But I honestly feel, especially after that series against India, the confidence level is there, and shape peke, like 60-40, the balance is in favor of Sri Lanka.
and before coming to my last question regarding the T20 starting side for Sri Lanka, I want to ask your opinion about the inclusion of Vanidhu Hasaranga and Dusman Jamira for IPL, basically Royal Challengers Bangalore. So there are mixed comments in social media regarding their inclusion. That some say they can the batsman will read them well ahead of the World Cup which is coming up. So what's your take on that? Both Kosi and Samir can answer.
Of course, you go first.
Okay, I'll explain this to you in Sinhala, Akhil, because I think we need to give that really out. මටරම් පේන විදිහට චමීරටයි වනිදුටයි ලැබුණ අවස්ථාව ඉතාමත්ම අනගි අවස්ථාවක්. because මේ වගේ අවස්ථාවක් ලැබෙන්නේ නැහැ ලේසියෙන්ම වෙන ක්‍රීඩකයෙකුට. ඉතින් මේ ක්‍රීඩකයන් දෙදෙනාම මේ වෙලාවේ දැනගන්න ඕනේ අර කියනවා වගේ මේගොල්ලන්ගේ රීඩ් කරන්න පටන් ගන්නේ මේගොල්ලන්ගේ weaknesses හොයාගනි නෑ. අපි ඉන්ටර්නැෂනල් ක්‍රිකට් ගහනවා ඒගොල්ලෝ ප්‍රොෆෙෂනල් ක්‍රිකටර්ස් නේ ඒගොල්ලෝ දැනගන්න ඕනේ ඒ කොහොමද ඒව ඇඩ්ජස්ට් කරගන්නේ අලුත් බෝල ක්‍රියේට් කරන්න ඕනේ දැන් අපි දන්නවා වනිදු හසරංග ඇඟිලි දෙක මැදට තියලා ගුග්ලි එක දානවා එතකොට ඒක රීඩ් කරොත් මම ඒක ඊට පස්සේ මොකද්ද කරන්නේ එතකොට දුස්මන්ත චමීරගේ ස්ලෝ බෝල් එක කොහොමද ඒගොල්ලෝ රීඩ් කරගත්තොත් මම මොකද්ද ඊළඟට ගේන ස්ලෝ බෝල් ඉතින් මේක හොඳ අඩිතාලමක් වෙනවා අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම දුස්මන්ත චමීරට සහ වනිදු හසරංගට මේ ඉන්න තත්ත්වයට වඩා ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ගේම් එක ඉහළට ගෙන අපි කියනවා from good to better ඉතින් මම හිතන්නේ මේක තමයි ඒගොල්ලන්ට ලැබෙන ශ්‍රී ලංකාවට පුළුවන් නම් තව ක්‍රීඩකයන්ව මේ IPL එකට එවන්න මම හිතනවා ඒක මොකද අපි බලන්න ඉන්දියානු කණ්ඩායම ඒගොල්ලන්ට අද කණ්ඩායම් තුනක් හදන්න ක්‍රීඩකයෝ ඉන්නවා ඒකට හේතුව මොකද්ද ඊට හේතුව තමයි IPL එක ගහපු එක. ඉතින් ඒගොල්ලෝ ගැහුවේ මේ විදේශ ක්‍රීඩකයන් එක්ක. ඉතින් ඒගොල්ලෝ කොහොමද ඇඩ්ජස්ට් වෙන්නේ? ඉතින් ඇයි ශ්‍රී ලංකන් ක්‍රීඩකයන්ට ඒ විදිහට ඇඩ්ජස්ට් වෙන්න බැරි? ඉතින් මම හිතනවා මේ වගේ තෝතැන්නක් මේ වගේ ක්‍රීඩකයන් දෙදෙනෙකුට ලැබෙන්න ඉතාමත්ම කලාතුරකින්. ඉතින් මම හිතනවා මේගොල්ලෝ අනිවාර්යයෙන් මේකෙන් උපරිම ප්‍රයෝජන අරගෙන ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ ගේම් එකත් වෙනස් කරන්න ඊට වඩා ඉහළ මට්ටමකට ගෙනියන්න පුළුවන් වෙනවා.
කෝසලා ඒකට කියන්න ඕනේ. ඒ කියන්නේ ඉතාමත් හොඳ ක්‍රීඩකයන්ට එක්ක සේම් ටීම් එකක ඉන්නවා කියන්නේ ඒකත් ලොකු දෙයක්. ඒ කියන්නේ ග්ලෙන් මැක්ස්වෙල් එතකොට AB ඩිවිලියර්ස් විරාට් කොහ්ලි ඒගොල්ලන් එකම කැම්ප් එක ප්‍රැක්ටිස් කරනවා කියන්නේත් ගොඩක් ඒගොල්ලන් ක්‍රීඩාව දියුණු කරන්න ඒගොල්ලන්ට පුළුවන්.
ඒ මොකක් කියනවා ඒ ඩ්‍රෙසිං රූම් එක ෂෙයා කරන්න ලැබීමත් ඒක ලොකු. දැන් ජස්මිත් බ්‍රුම්රා කාගෙන්ද උපදෙස් ගත්තේ මෙච්චර හොඳ බෝලර් කෙනෙක් වෙන්න? ලසිත් මාලිංග. ඔව්. ඉතින් එවැනි දේවල් කොච්චර අයිඩියාස් ඒගොල්ලන්ගෙන් ගන්න පුළුවන් මොකෝ ඒ වගේ එක්ස්පීරියන්ස් ප්ලේයර්ස්ලා ඉන්නකොට මේ වගේ ක්‍රීඩකයන් හොඳ අවස්ථාවක් තියෙනවා මම මොනවාද මේ වෙලාවේ කරන්න ඕනේ විශේෂයෙන් මම කොහෙද බෝල් කරන්න ඕනේ මම මොකද්ද කොහොමද වීක්නස් අඳුනගන්නේ ඉතින් අන්න ඒ වගේ දේවල් මම හිතනවා මේක විවේචනයට ලක් කරන්න ඕන කාරණයක් නෙමෙයි මේක අපි අත් දෙකෙන්ම බාර ගන්න ඕන කාරණයක් මේ වගේ අවස්ථාවක් මේ ක්‍රීඩකයන් දෙන්නට ලැබුණ එක ගැන. මොකද ශ්‍රී ලංකා ක්‍රීඩක ඉසුරු උදාන පමණයි ගිය පාර IPL එකේ හිටියේ. මේ සැරේ IPL එකේ ඇත්තටම ශ්‍රී ලංකා එක ක්‍රීඩකයෙක්වත් හිටියේ නැහැ. ඉතින් මම හිතනවා ලොකු වාසනාවක් මේ ක්‍රීඩකයන් දෙන්නට ලැබිලා තියෙනවා.
And also Sam, there are rumors that Tisara Pereira might join the Rajasthan Royals setup. So
Yes, there are. I mean, again, like Kosi says, I think it's a really good thing. I mean, people who say that they will read these guys. Okay, let's say Wadidu is going and bowling there. He's bowling against some of the best Indian batsmen. Now he can read the batsman. Now, isn't that also a good thing? He's going to be bowling to some of the best batsmen in the world over there. Now he knows before coming to the World Cup, okay, what is each batsman's weakness? You can look at it that way also if you're going to talk about reading each other. So I think that is a discussion that happens at amateur level, not at pro level. When you come to pro level, when you're playing national cricket, you should be able to adapt. And I think this is going to be a super experience for them because, as Kosi said, they can keep developing their game and they can recognize how much more better they can do. We already know someone like Chamira. He's got a superb set of variations. Obviously, he's learning under the master Chaminda Vas, so there's no need to say where he learned it from. But if he can go there, learn, IPL has some really star bowlers who are really good at bowling variations. So if he can learn some more and develop his game some more, there will be games where he'll go for a few runs. Same with Wanindu. There will be games where every match won't be perfect. There will be games when you go for a few runs. But all of that is a learning curve. You got hit in this game. Okay, these are the things I did wrong. So next match I learn I don't do those things. Okay, these things work for me. These are my strengths. I take them and I develop those strengths. So that is what it does for you. So definitely I completely agree with Kosala. I think as many players as possible should be in there because the experience they pick up is really fresh, especially for Asian countries. It's even more better because we play at conditions which are similar what you get in the IPL. Now you might say if someone like a David Warner playing in the IPL sometimes can mess up his batting because he's playing on flat tracks, but when he goes back home, those tracks are all super bowling friendly. So then he struggles. But then for us, it should be even more beneficial because some of our, for example, if our batsmen make it there, they're batting against some of the best spinners, and those are tracks that are similar to our tracks. So they can come home and for home international games, they can be really, really, in super touch. So I think it's a super experience. In fact, in the commentary box that day, we were having a chat with Maha also. He's played with Daredevils, in his prime years, and he was saying what a brilliant experience it is, when you get to play alongside these stars. Just like Coach said, not just the on-field, but the fact that you get to share that dressing room with some of those big names, there's so much to learn, man. It's a huge, brilliant experience.
He played and he hammered one of the best spinners in the world for 4 sixes in 1 over.
Yeah, you see, as Sam said, you can have a good day, you can have a bad day. That's cricket for you. But then that experience is going to take them a long way, and also the experience that they can bring into the Sri Lankan side. Once they play there, you bring your experience and you can share it with your teammates. That also takes you a long way.
And now let's talk about the T20 games for South African series, and we will have the World Cup after that. So, any players you want to try in the T20 format ahead of the World Cup? I'll start with Cozy on that.
Well, trying and testing period, I think Sri Lanka is a little too late on that. So they need to make sure that they have because Sri Lanka is fine. They're wanting a few places that they need to fit in. So, for example, to me, a fit Kusal Janith and Avishka Fernando will definitely be my number one opening choices for the World Cup. Bhanuka Rajapaksa at number 3, and the way Charit Asalanka has played, I think he will fit in at number 4. So you're looking at a number 4, number 5, and a number 6. Whether you need 2 batters coming in there or maybe batting all-rounders. Where does Dasun Shanaka bat in? Is he going to bat at number 6 or number 7? Are Sri Lanka going to have Vanidu Hasaranga batting at number 7, or whether they want to bat him at number 8? So these are the little things that they need to fine-tune. And as you were saying earlier, whether they want to have the second fast bowler in Binura Fernando. So those are the little areas that they need to fill in. So because for trying and testing, I think Sri Lanka is past that stage. They need to make sure that they have at least 8 regular players playing in these South African T20s that will go and play in the World Cup.
Yes, I agree with Coach there. Because if at all, I think what we saw in that India series recently is that bowling is not a problem for us. I think our bowling squads bowling resources are really good. The spinners and the fast bowlers that we have. It is the batting that needs a little bit of cushioning. And that's why I feel the inclusion of someone like a Kamidu Mendes in that middle over there will really, really bolster it. And if guys like Charit Asalanka can all come in good form, then I think we've got a very, very good squad that can challenge some of the best oppositions. So it will be interesting to see.
Okay, guys, that's it with the questions. Before we wrap up, I'm wearing a t-shirt which indicates my school. So recently our school celebrated the 129th anniversary. So I wish my school happy Founders Day, and I am what I am today because of my school. So thankful for my school for everything that school have given me.
Best wishes to Zaira College. Some of my closest friends are Zahirians, and I can tell you the school
Including
produces
me.
good people, gentlemen.
Definitely, without a doubt. And Sam, I've been in the entertainment industry. I've been had the privilege of providing my services to various functions of Cyra College. So I have
Then
had
Kozar is a
experience that.
DJ, by the way, for the last 28 years. So if you guys need entertainment, he's the man to go to. Not just with his commentary, but also with music and whatnot.
And also condolences for one of our former Zairians, Ibrahim Hamid, who
Of
represented
course, good man, lovely
Zaira
man.
and also national level sports. And also his son, now they lost his son, Zulki, right?
Julki Hamid, yes, yes,
Zulki
yes.
Hamid. In fact,
They were actually my neighbors. Sorry,
I
go
had
ahead,
the
Kozar.
luxury of playing alongside Zulki Hamid in the under 19 school side.
Okay, so that's it from our show today. A lot of cricket coming up. There's a lot of cricket going on right now as well. So we'll hope that glory times ahead for Sri Lanka cricket with South African series and the World Cup coming up as well.
Let's hope so,
And
yeah, man. Let's hope so.
Yeah,
Looking forward to some
and,
really
let's
good
hope for the
cricket.
best. Yeah,
and also in football, we'll be taking part in South Asian Football Championship that is also starting from October 1st. So
Ronaldo is
we'll
coming
hope
back to United. Yay!
that is from international football.
is it good or bad for United? That's the question, Sam.
I think it's a good, no. Honestly speaking, there are quite a few youngsters there. So just like we spoke about the IPL, just Ronaldo being there in that dressing room itself is enough, Machang, to uplift some of these guys. And for me, just personally for Ronaldo, because I started supporting United as a kid. It was because of the partnership of Ronaldo and Rooney and them back in 2006-7, right? So him coming to United and ending his career here is like a dream movie script. For me, it's just perfect. I mean, don't know. There are still rumors going on. If it happens, it's just a perfect ending. I mean, it doesn't matter if we win the league title or not. Screw that. I mean, watching Ronaldo play for United in the Premier League is just amazing. We're looking forward to it.
Okay, then thanks, Sam. Thanks, Kosar. I will catch you again for another talk show very soon. And
It's our pleasure.
thanks for joining us.
Yeah,
Thanks
it
for
was a
all the
It's our
viewers for
pleasure, man.
joining us today. And hope everyone will stay safe.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Bye bye. Stay safe. Get vaccinated. Avoid large gatherings. Stay at home and be good people. Watch all the cricket and enjoy it. Cheers.
Yes, bye.